we were just talking, kind of trying to get a little bit of a breakdown with Maryland with their play-by-play guy, and if you're looking at this game, I think I kind of know because we talk so much, but if you're starting with one side of the ball, which one does Nebraska need to be more cognizant of if they want to come out of here with a win?
I think it's offensively. I mean, just what we just seen with the offensive line, and just it's going to be the narrative, and you can say narrative. It's going to be the reality until the narrative changes, right?
Oh, I like it.
And especially when you got a team like Maryland, who, like you said me, I told you about their D line. I went back yesterday and just started going through clips. They got some guys. They got some guys, and a couple of guys actually remind me of Broadman from Michigan. Moves very similar, work speed to power, can also do some speed stuff, straight speed stuff. But just from what we've seen on the outside with the tackles, that's going to be the focal point. Can we stop their pass rush and give Dylan enough time to make plays, right? The other part is I think this is going to be, I think their interior guys, their D tackle and their nose is pretty good too. This is going to be I
Good
think the
size.
biggest, yeah, good size. They move well. They do some stunts too up front. There are a lot of just 4-man rush. They let their guys go, and they want to play coverage on the back end, which it's been hit and miss, when you play against better teams the past 2 weeks. But, um, I think the offensive line in particular is going to be important. And obviously the run game helps that, but they'll be able to protect Dylan and keep those edge guys off of him and allow him to be able to make those big plays downfield on intermediate and deep passes. And even the short ones too as well is going to be important.
Michael, speaking of that defensive line, I'm trying to weigh in my head what I'm seeing against, Towson and Florida Atlantic and seeing those
Mhm.
guys really eat there versus like, yes, they still look good against Wisconsin and Washington, but if you kind of get inside the numbers, the like pass rush rate and stuff kind of started to
Right.
pretty significantly. But like you said, they do still look like dudes. How do you kind of balance their production against better teams versus what you think their talent to be? And then let's throw in the mix. Oh yeah, by the way, Damon Williams is pretty good and pretty
Well, he got it going,
elusive
didn't he?
as well. Like, how do you balance all that when trying to figure out what to expect on Saturday?
Luckily for me, I didn't waste my time on those first three opponents. I
Okay,
yeah,
fair.
I didn't waste my time
Hey, how,
on.
how do you
So
really feel? I'm
You
confused.
didn't think you
I
learned a lot from the Towson Tigers?
I'm
I mean, great program. Great program. Shout out to their coach. He's doing a great job. Uh, I saw some things with Wisconsin and with Washington that, I think can translate. Particularly, I think the main guy stood out. I think his name is Sidney Stewart.
Oh
He's
yeah.
a freshman. I think he's had a sack in every
You talking about
game.
29?
Oh man, oh
Yeah,
man.
he's
That's the
active.
one. That's the one who reminds me of. Is it Brahman
He's
from
he,
Michigan?
yep,
Yeah,
he's active.
he's active, very active. So even with him, if he can set the tone and kind of get things going again, it kind of gets that psychological effect of, hey, we got another edge spread guy that's kind of giving us trouble, right? Do we have to go to, plan B as far as what do we do to get the ball out quicker, or just get altering a game plan in some form or fashion.
What you
So like I said, I think interior wise, they got enough size and they move well enough and do some good enough things to, still give Nebraska's line. We've seen what they've done so far. Some a little bit of problems, at least expect going into it. Now, if they go out and ace the test, then it's a whole different. Again, the narrative changes when the reality change, or the reality changes when the narrative changes. So we gotta change that narrative and go play ball.
Yeah, they seem pretty dialed this week too, because you need to look at Zahir Mathis or number 9,
Hmm.
the other side too. It's rare that guys that young where 9 would be overshadowed. I
Right.
air quotes
Mm-hmm.
by 29. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like
Yeah.
they. But here's the thing, though they're really good defensively, not giving up anything points per play too. Good in the red zone. How do you think they'll fit in the run game if Nebraska's committed to it?
I can't say I watched a lot of their defensive film outside the D line part.
Yeah.
But I mean, I feel like the game plan has to be early on. If we can play the run fit with 7 or 6, and we can do it, and we feel like our D line can hold up, especially with those interior guys being a little bit bigger, maybe at a squeeze an A and a B gap, maybe to the field. So now you can play 3-over-2 coverage, those type of things. Um, that again, until Nebraska proves it, I mean, that's what we got to do, right? Again, you talk about Dylan's numbers. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. So I think that's the first thing you have to stop in the game plan. But obviously, you have Emmett. I mean, they're able to run the ball. So um, I would say try to fit it with six, right? Do some stunting a little bit, but they played pretty straight up in their first 5 games, right?
Yep.
A lot of their stunts and stuff comes on third down, the rushing games and things like that. So I think they feel confident with the bigger guys inside that they can eat up some gaps, right? Outside guys can play fast, crash down the line, and push everything out to their, alley players and apex guys.
MRI, when you're looking at the defensive ends kind of the level that we're talking about with Maryland here, outside of just, hey, our tackles need to be better and ace the test, as you put it, what are some of the other things you
If
like?
that's how he feel, is that how you feel, MRI? Are you pinning this on the tackles?
As far as like a big part
The
of the
the pass protection struggles.
I would say it's the most obvious in some situations, right? It's the most eye popping when you watch the film. But again, I mean, I saw the graphic, we've all kind of maybe felt this way, maybe in some instances where, uh, 15 is maybe holding on to the ball a little bit too long, trying to make a bigger play than maybe necessary. So, I think it's a mixture of both. But again, on film, those two things are the biggest things going to pop out, right? I mean, no one's going to sit there and analyze, the technique of the kick step and the angle, and he should have did a 1-2, like,
Or
I mean
what
that.
the actual protection is.
Right, exactly. And who's supposed to go where, things like that. So, um, I think it's a mixture of both, right? A mixture
So
of both.
what would you try and do schematically, whether it's not even just with the blocking scheme, but in terms of some play call, play design offensively to try and neutralize those defensive ends?
I mean, sprint out draws, even some sprint outs in general, right? Get outside the pocket, cut the field in half, make that backside guy have to chase it. Bootlegs as well. I mean, we've done a good job running the ball under center. I think probably
You know
better
what?
than we have in shotgun. I would say more efficiently at least. So I mean, utilize that, and even with the pass protection, utilize some trap protections. You know what I mean? Where we're bringing the guard backside to kick out that end. You know what I mean? Give him a more physical pass rep, if that makes sense, instead of him just being kicked back and just running speed on our guys. We want to get on the field, right? Let's work some counter pass pros or some power pass pros and be able to kick those guys out. But obviously screens, right? But sprint outs and draws, I think definitely like to see more of that. I think Dylan's good on the run, can maybe extend some plays a little bit better without that pressure kind of right in his face and at his toes. So I think those are two to three things I think they could do for sure.
Bless your heart with the lead and sprint, because they got to it with Harburg on the double handoff. I mean, if let's say they're in like king personnel and Harburg's offset, and you just run lead with Harburg, they got back to it with the counter, right, and leveraged it. But in concept, it was two back. It was just two back lead, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
and for me, that warms the cockles in my hearts, because you get apex different, you get all the adjusters and edge guys. If Nebraska really wants to be successful, I think you have to find a way to play, to have D gap run game without having to RPO.
Right.
Like, can you imagine how they're all like, the sky would be the limit? And I get it, not all offenses can be everything, but edge run game would be fantastic.
Yeah, it would. I mean, you
I,
would like
I
for you
you're
guys.
like, come on, DB, like that you're doing too much.
I mean, no, it would. I mean, their way of getting to the D gap usually is with their duo stuff. You know what I mean? The
They do
bounce,
love
the back
duo.
back it. But as a more direct play right to it. I mean, they're on a little stretch outside zone, but that's kind of been here and there. You know what I mean? When you're working against fast fronts and guys moving across the face, I mean, it's tough to get those yards unless you really major in that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think again, I think even though this is Dana's really his first full year, right, taking over the play calling. I think he's still figuring out what his identity as far as the run game is. It's a little bit of everything, and there's like you said, you like to see him kind of major in something, really be able to hang their hat on it. But again, when you got a guy like Emmett can do a lot of those things, and so you got to put him in the best situation to be able to find cutback lanes or be able to press and hit those gaps on the inside or outside. So
Are you
every
are you
I think he's
surprised?
still evolving.
Sorry about that. Am I right?
Go
Are you
again? No.
surprised to hear guys like I know Ravi loved this, and you can speak to it too, Ravi. Like, Coach Holgerson will say things like, he's got like this breakdown of offensive sequences, and he says, I didn't like that call. It just wasn't a good call, right? And
Hmm.
like he'll come out and he'll say things like that, which lets me know it's not so much the humility or the ownership, it's that he's so experienced, he knows what he should do in a situation like that. You know what I mean? It's just
Right.
I like when guys are that experienced where they can go back and talk about things like that.
No, yeah, that's definitely a veteran coach, having that for one, lack of ego, right? I'm not here to prove myself. My resume already done doing that, right?
Mm.
But again, that humility, right, for him to be able to, show that side, like, hey, like, yeah, I made a bad call, that's on me. And being a player, you be understanding that, like, when coaches are able to have ownership and hold themselves accountable, players are more willing to accept new ideas from and accept maybe challenging of their skill set or maybe their effort and things like that. So I think it's a twofold thing. We talk about Rule always speaking like to his players through the media, right? I think Dana, Butler does kind of very similar thing. Eckler, they all do, right? I think that it's not hard pressed to believe that these guys hear these quotes from their coaches in the press conference, right? Because I don't think it's anything to hide with this staff. Like they probably share the same things in meetings and they give them the same analysis and the same feedback, maybe in a more direct way behind closed doors, but at the same time coaches having that ownership and doing that publicly, that just helps guys have more confidence in them.
Yeah, I had never heard outside of a game deciding call like going for it on fourth down or
A
a
guy
play
just walk you through the
call.
sequence.
Yeah, I've never I don't well not just to walk you through the sequence, but just say like, yeah, I didn't like my call there. Like
Yeah.
I just so and just it was obviously Nebraska won the game, so in the final score it didn't matter. But usually you only hear that A from a head coach and he'll take responsibility for something, and B in a situation where it's like end of game, goal line, you make a play call or something, or you're talking about a gadget play or a trick play or something. Like I don't know that I've ever heard somebody just be like, "Hey, in this sequence that didn't go the way we wanted it to, yes, the first play was maybe on 15 for not getting rid of the ball, and the third play it was on this guy for missing a block, but the second play that was on me. I wasn't a good call. Not a good call for that spot." Like I don't think I've ever heard that before.
I mean, yeah, I mean, again, you know, I don't think he's politicking for another job, at least in my eyes. You know what I mean? So I don't think he's
Right.
trying to hold cards back or trying to, save face. I think he's really just he wants to coach ball. I think he truly meant it when he said, "Hey, I got Raiola for 2 more years. Like I'm gonna soak this all up." So I think he's embracing just the entire experience of just being a coordinator. So I think that transparency it's definitely welcome, for a fan base that wants to knows everything that goes on beyond closed doors. Um, so I think it lends well to us as people on the outside looking in for perspective about how things go and how he's kind of thinking about play calling and play sequences.
MRI, I can't tell you how excited I am to see how and if and when Nebraska handles travel, right? 2 nights outside your own bed, right? Um, Managing the travel schedule and pitting it against your emotional growth, what's happening on the field. Because there's always components to being a good road team, right? There's the actual play, and then there's the handling of the day-to-day rigor when you're on the road. How will you know you're pitting against how do you know when you can hear a guy like Sierra Wright say, hey, that run fit, part of that was on me, right? If I hold the post, then he can do this. And then I can get, Javen to fit here. Like that's on me. So you get the football acumen, but then also you have all day tomorrow after the walkthrough and getting there tonight where that's also part of it. How will you kind of balance the maturity and the growth based on what you think you'll see on Saturday?
Yeah, it's almost like a mini bowl trip in a sense. Kind of a fraction of a bowl trip. Um, Without obviously all the fun and activities and things you do around that. Because I can't remember a time we ever went out, 2 days, and even playing at like Rutgers and
It's different.
um, yeah, I would assume it's different. You know what I mean? Especially that um, that first day out there, you know what I mean, where you kind of go through everything you got to go through, and you're just kind of sitting around, probably maybe taking care of some classwork, checking in with family, getting some last, film stuff in, and then you kind of get back to your kind of normal travel routine on that Friday. Um, so yeah, that'd be interesting. I think at the end of the day, I mean, I think they've doing this. I mean, we've seen obviously Lincoln Riley, he came out and he kind of complained about the travel, going from the West Coast, East Coast. We had some other Big Ten coaches kind of complain about it.
Yeah.
And again, I think with the podcast, just how Rhule's thinking, his forward thinking. I mean, he's okay with being an ambassador for something different. You know what I mean? And embracing it, right? So I think they've definitely probably looked at this probably in June or May, you know what I mean, and kind of plan this and map this out, understand. I heard they're bringing their own chef, kind of bringing like literally the whole road, the whole show's going on the road. So I think that they planned this, it's well thought out. So they're gonna have a plan around this, or plan for this and plan for everything as far as how to keep the guys mentally engaged throughout the day, the next 2 days, um, and be ready to go perform.
Michael, as you kind of look at Malik Washington in particular, because I keep having this thought, and I don't know how you maybe have not thought of it in this way, and if you haven't, then you can tell me to buzz off. But like, where do you rank him on the quarterbacks Nebraska's played so far?
He he's the third best, or let's see, we faced the fourth best power forward guy we faced.
That's
I don't think I don't
that's
think
what I
he's
thought.
better than Underwood. I don't think he's better than Childs.
He's
I
certainly
don't think
not.
he's better than yeah, I
Thorsby.
don't think he's better than Sorsby.
And we didn't even talk. We did have we in full disclosure, you and I have not talked about this, correct?
Right, correct.
I'm telling you.
I just I get the talent, right? I get the talent.
I get the talent, yeah, for
But I
sure.
look at it and I go, it feels like there's a lot of consternation and hand wringing about this guy, and he's had a nice season, but the numbers aren't
Hmm.
crazy. Like
Yeah,
60% completion in this era is not crazy.
right.
He's had a very nice true freshman season so far. The numbers have dropped off against power conference opponents. And I
Hmm.
sit here and I go, okay, he's not better than Sorsby. I don't think he's better than Underwood. I'm sure he's not better than Childs.
Right.
And sit here and I go, I don't.
It's funny too, MRI, because we're gonna look at Childs and we're gonna be like, well, that guy wasn't very
No,
good.
he's pretty good.
Well, he
Yeah,
had been. He was shook early.
I think
yeah.
Childs too. My question is,
Let's go back to. Oh,
Underwood,
can I go back to that
what?
Childs from
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Saturday?
yeah.
I felt like, and the PA or the play-by-play guy said it right before he came on his first snap. He said if Childs can have a great game and put on a map, and he looked like a guy that was trying to play for a draft stock.
Yeah.
He looked like a guy that was, and you could see it, I think, in the frustration on the sideline because you've been there. Like this is your moment, your big stage. You got this high-ranking pass, defense that everyone's raving about or talking about, and you kind of have that kind of performance. You can see that emotion. That's at least what I thought, just from being a former player, being in that kind of moment, and thinking, hey, this is my shot, really kind of get on that big stage. So that's what I saw, at least. I don't know. I could be wrong there, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think he's. I think he's good. I think he shows a lot of poise for a young guy. I think if you're gonna talk about schematics later, I can save it. But I think schematically, what they do, it doesn't keep me up. You know what I
It,
mean?
It's pretty
no, you
simplified.
can elaborate
Yeah,
because
It's
because
yeah,
I
pretty
think it
simplified for him,
plays.
right?
If Nebraska's on there, now this is again, it's super myopic,
Nebraska
and
got to show up.
they got to
right.
show up and play. But schematically, I think you agree they're playing in the
Yeah.
Nebraska hands.
Yes, and that's why when you ask like what in that first question, I think Ravi asked about, um, who should be the biggest focus point, and that's why I said O line because I'm not really worried about the defense in this game. They're the seventh worst rushing offense in the country. I get again we're going against another good set of receivers, but again I tweeted a guy yesterday. I was like I feel like we said that every game outside the two FCS games. Cincinnati, okay, they got three guys that are absolutely going crazy now with Sorsby that we shut down. Um, Michigan, I don't think their receiver core was, as explosive, I guess, in the film coming into it, but there's still good guys on that in that core. They did a good job against them.
Michigan
Um,
State's are really good. Michigan State
Michigan
legitimately.
State, yeah. I mean, if you would have saw what Amari Kelly was doing versus
Oh,
USC and those other guys, I mean, you would again,
Yeah, 422 for SC.
And Marsh
He
might
was getting.
and
Marsh
Marsh, yeah,
might be the best one in
Marsh,
the group.
right. Marsh looked pretty freakish in those first couple games. So again, we say it every week. Hey, this is the best receiving core they face. So what's the challenge? And again, my thing is, when are going to just say, hey, we have confidence in those guys to go cover, do their thing, and we're going to really get after it in the run game. And so I think with they lean heavy on quick passes. Um, I don't know. If they're aggressive in coverage and aggressive with their blitz package they were last week, offense will have plenty of opportunities to get points on the board, in my opinion. Plus special teams. I know
I
DB,
I,
we talked about that.
I love your reservation. So this is the total player coach I'm hearing because you want to say I'm feeling, and you could be like DB, shut up. You want
No,
to
you're on it. You're on it.
Nebraska can hammer these guys, but the fact that you know you have to go out and play the game and anything can happen, I think gives you pause because you don't want to think like that.
Right.
But your eyes are telling you this is a good matchup for them. I think that's why it's 7, to be honest.
Yeah, they're trying to get some guys. They're trying to get some guys. Yeah. Again, there's no disrespect to them. I mean, it's not anything about
Can
them, but just again the
Nebraska
matchup.
can Nebraska handle what comes with playing on the road?
Yep.
That's be the key. It's not a schematics thing.
Yeah, it's not a schematics thing. It's not. And I can see that being a part of the rule kind of, doing what he's doing. Like it's not about schematics. This is more psychological. Like can we handle right sitting on the stove, right, and letting the water boil until we're ready, right, and be ready for the opportunity. You know what I mean, and kind of get those guys away from Lincoln. You know what I mean, we had a great game last week. Probably a lot of fanfare around campus. Get these guys out here early. Get them isolated. Get us that one of us mentality. Us versus the world. Plus the Husker fans, right? Don't leave them out. And
I wonder how
let's go.
many
Let's go
will
get
get
a. Let's
because
go get a win.
I don't think we're gonna pull in. I can't imagine getting to the hotel before 8 o'clock tonight. So I wonder what we'll see tomorrow because
I guess most
we're
tomorrow.
far away from not far away. We're not staying in College Park. We're gonna bus there. So I wonder what
Mhm.
the contingency will be because I've never
Yeah,
been.
yeah. I've never been there either. Yeah, never been there.
Michael, is there like a you don't have to predict the score for me, but like is there a type of score that you think favors Nebraska versus Maryland?
What's the weather? Weather gonna be
Oh,
decent.
I saw six. Was it 65?
That sounds good.
Um, it was light winds. Here, let me if Ravi can buy me some time, I'm a
60,
mutt.
65 degrees in DC with a crab cake. There ain't nothing like it, DB.
Listen,
Um,
I may or may not, MRI, have spent an inordinate amount of time Googling restaurants.
oh man, you're gonna get your money's worth.
So, man, I'm torn. I love crab cakes. I'm a big scallops guy. I love
Mm,
all seafood. Big halibut guy. I'm just gonna
mm.
have to narrow it down. You know what I mean?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
Saturday 68, low winds.
yeah. I say it'd probably be a I think they win by double digits. I wonder how many points they score. Um, Maybe 24, 27, something like that. Could get even bigger, especially if they're really getting them off the field on third down and really doing things like that. So, um, I think that again, double digits for sure.
Let me get you out on this. MRI is a guy who's traveled and had to play on the road. Bigger deal spending 2 nights in Maryland this week or coming back to play in Minneapolis on Friday next week?
Hmm. I want to say it depends on how they handle this week, but I'll say on the surface, probably playing Friday because I think that's more of a change in the actual like
Let one less
the
day of
psyche. Yeah, the psyche of performance. You know what I mean. The you're always playing, mostly playing always on a Saturday, so get one less day of game plan and one less day of recovery. So you kind of gotta adjust like how much are we going to be in full contact throughout the week and things like that. But I think getting out there 2 days earlier is going to be to their benefit. You know what I mean. Get them acclimated with everything, get them adjusted. Um, And the more time you got the team around each other, especially with the sound of this group, how close they are, I feel like they just keep getting better. You know what I mean? So, and keep building that bond and keep building that confidence in each other. They can go out there and make plays. So, um, no, I definitely think on the surface is definitely probably playing on Friday. But again, you come out here, knock on wood, and kind of don't perform at the high level that you would like to. That becomes even a bigger challenge, right? Because you're trying to fix things with one less day, right? So I would say, go take care of business. But I'm pretty confident. I think this is going to be a fun game for the Husker fans to watch, and as long as we can do offensively, then I think this should be a good win for Nebraska. Good confidence win coming off of the Michigan State one.